Okay, so retirement planning, it's like not exactly the most fun thing to think about, right? But with the cost of living going crazy, especially if you're on your own, those golden
Yeah.
years, well,
Yeah.
they might not feel so golden.
Yeah, it's something a lot of folks are worried about for sure. Seeing these different viewpoints is interesting.
For sure. So we found this YouTube video. It's this relationship advisor, Kevin Samuels, talking with a 28-year-old woman.
Mm.
And their whole conversation is just, it's really fascinating. About financial security, relationships, and like what society expects, especially for women.
Sounds like a good one to dig into.
Oh, it totally is. So the woman in the video, she starts off by saying she's really afraid of marriage because of her parents' divorce, infidelity, and money problems.
Yeah.
Those are like the big things that tore them apart.
Yeah, that's tough. And, it kind of reflects what's happening in society, too. More and more divorces. And it's interesting. Kevin Samuels actually says that women, they're the ones filing for divorce most of the time. Like, it's something like 80%, he says.
80%. Whoa. That's a lot. Makes you think about why that is. So this woman, she's ambitious. She wants to get into marketing at a recording label, hoping to make about $50,000 a year.
And this is where Kevin Samuels, he comes in with a pretty strong argument. He's basically saying $50,000 a year, it's probably not going to cut it for long-term financial security, especially when you think about how expensive everything is going to be in the future, like healthcare and just living in general.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thinking about the future like that, it's got to be stressful. The person who made the video, they actually agree with Samuels.
Yeah.
They even say that a lot of single women end up living with roommates just to make ends meet, which kind of shows how hard it can be financially, especially for women.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what the other options are if you don't want to get married or just aren't in that situation.
Right. So what does Samuel say? What's his solution?
Well, and this is where it gets kind of controversial. He thinks marriage is basically a financial necessity. He's saying combining your money with a partner, it just makes things more stable. You share the responsibility. And it's even more important when you get older, thinking about retirement and all that.
Wow. That's a big statement. It's like, is he saying marriage should just be about money?
Yeah, it makes you think, shouldn't it be about love and all that too, not just a money thing?
Right. And doesn't it make things even riskier if it doesn't work out? Divorce can be financially devastating, especially for women who maybe put their careers on hold to have a family.
Exactly. You're tying your financial security to someone else. What happens if things change?
That's what I'm saying. What about women who want to be financially independent on their own? Like, what can they do? What options are out there?
Oh, there are definitely other ways to go about it. Moving up in your career, investing smartly, even starting your own business, things like that. They can give women a way to be financially secure without needing to be married.
It's like the conversation is shifting, from like marriage is the answer to let's get women financially savvy.
Right. And honestly, financial literacy is so important for everyone, no matter what your relationship status is. It's about knowing how to handle your money, making a budget, and making smart choices about saving and investing.
So it's not just how much money you make, it's how you manage it.
Exactly. And this brings us back to what Samuel said about that danger zone for women in their late 20s and early 30s. He's basically saying their chances of getting married go down as they get older.
Hold on. Now that doesn't seem right. It sounds like he's putting all this pressure on women to get married for financial security,
Right.
like they have to hurry up. And it's kind of playing into those old-fashioned gender roles we were talking about before. That doesn't seem fair or even true anymore.
Yeah, it definitely raises some questions. Does it make women feel anxious? Does it limit their choices? Those are important things to consider.
Exactly. But then the person who made the video, they chime in and actually agree with Samuels. They're saying his advice is good because it makes women think realistically about their financial future, especially if they're going to stay single.
Yeah, it sounds like they're pushing for women to be proactive. Like, take control of your finances no matter what, whether you're in a relationship or not.
That makes sense. So we've got these two different ideas. Marriage as the way to be financially secure versus women taking charge of their own finances. So where do we go from here?
I think the main thing is to make informed decisions. Whatever you choose, marriage, staying single, whatever. It's important to know why you're making that choice. Think about the pros and cons and create a life that fits with what you believe in and what you want to achieve.
Making decisions with intention. I like that. It's like taking control of your life, not just letting things happen to you.
Exactly. And that might mean learning more about managing your finances, looking into different kinds of relationships, or just taking some time to think about what's really important to you.
It's about making a life that feels good and secure. On your own terms, not someone else's.
It's crazy how much this whole conversation makes you think about, what people want in life versus what society expects. And then there's the whole money part of it, too.
It does. We can get all caught up in the lovey-dovey stuff about relationships, but let's be real. Money matters,
Yeah.
especially if you're thinking long-term.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not like money should be the only reason you're with someone, but you can't pretend it doesn't matter for you as a person and for you as a couple.
Yeah, totally. Money problems can cause so much stress in a relationship. But at the same time, like, reducing love to just dollars and cents,
Hmm.
it just seems kind of wrong, you know?
I hear you. It's important to remember that healthy relationships, they're built on respect and shared values and all that good stuff. Having your finances in order can definitely help, but it shouldn't be the only thing that matters.
Finding that balance, right?
Mhm.
Which actually reminds me of something else Samuels talks about, retirement planning. It's so easy to get caught up in what's happening right now, but then those future costs can really sneak up on you.
Exactly. There's this saying, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, the second best time is today. It's the same with retirement planning. The earlier you start, the better, because of this thing called compound interest.
I've heard of that, but honestly, I'm not exactly a financial expert.
Yeah.
Can you break it down for us regular folks?
Sure. Basically, compound interest is the interest you get not just on the money you put in, but also on the interest you've already earned. So it keeps growing and growing. It's like a snowball effect. The longer you leave it, the bigger it gets.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. So even small amounts can add up over time if you start early.
Exactly. And there are all sorts of different retirement plans out there, like 401ks and IRAs and investing in different things. The important thing is to find what works best for you and your situation.
That's really helpful. Thanks. Okay, so let's go back to Samuel's idea about marriage being financially necessary. It's a bold claim for sure. But are there any downsides to thinking about it that way?
Well, combining your finances with someone can have its advantages, but you got to think about the risks too. Like, what happens if the marriage doesn't last? Divorce can be a huge financial setback, especially for women who might have stopped working to raise kids.
So it's not like a foolproof plan for financial security. It might even make you more vulnerable in some ways.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the emotional side of things either. Marriage should be about love and connection, not just a business deal. Reducing it to just money, it feels like something's missing.
Totally. It's interesting because the woman in the video, she's scared of both getting married and being alone. It's like she's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it's something a lot of people can relate to. There's all this pressure from society to do things a certain way, and then you have your own fears and wants and trying to figure it all out. It's a lot.
It really is. And for women, there's that whole biological clock thing, too. This idea that there's only so much time to find a partner and have kids.
Yeah, that ticking clock feeling can definitely make people feel rushed, and sometimes they make choices they wouldn't otherwise make. But the truth is, everyone's timeline is different. There's no right or wrong way to do things.
It's more about figuring out what success means to you, not what other people say it should be.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between what society tells you to do and what you truly want for yourself. It's about making choices that feel right for you, not for anyone else.
I like that. So where does that leave us? We've got this woman wrestling with her fears, a relationship advisor saying marriage is the key to financial security, and a YouTuber telling women to be realistic about their options. A lot to think about.
Definitely. And while there's no easy answers, I think the takeaway here is to be aware of yourself and make conscious choices. Whether you go for marriage, stay single, or find some other path, you need to understand why you're making that choice, what the good and bad could be, and ultimately create a life that matches your values and goals.
Making choices with intention. That's the key takeaway, right?
Yeah.
It's about taking charge of your own life, writing your own story.
Exactly. And that might involve learning more about managing money, checking out different types of relationships, or just taking some time to reflect on what's truly important to you. It's all about growing and evolving.
Creating a life that feels good and secure, financially and emotionally, all on your own terms.
That's it. And remember, everyone's journey is different. There's no one right way to do things, and that's okay. In fact, it's kind of beautiful.
You know, it's funny. We always hear about the successful life, right? Marriage, kids, financial stability. But do those things actually make everyone happy? I'm not so sure.
That's a really good point. There's no one way to live a good life. We all want different things. We have different values and experiences and all that. It shapes who we are.
It's like we're all in this big maze trying to find our way out. But the exit might be different for each of us. How do we even figure out what we're looking for with all this noise around us?
It's a journey. You got to figure yourself out. And like any good adventure, you got to start by asking the right questions. What do you believe in? What makes you happy? What kind of mark do you want to leave on the world?
Those are some deep questions, man.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Thinking about those things can help you make decisions about your job, your relationships, how you spend your time and money.
Exactly. It's about making your life match your dreams. And sometimes that means taking risks, going against the grain, maybe even changing what success means to you.
I like that, redefining success.
Yeah.
It's like breaking free from the mold, making your own rules.
That's it. And remember, life's a journey, not just a destination. There will be bumps in the road, unexpected turns, times when you got to adjust your course. It's all part of the experience.
It's all part of the fun, right?
Yeah.
So to sum it all up, we've been talking about this whole idea of financial security, relationships, and what society expects. We've looked at different perspectives, talked about some potential problems, and hopefully got people thinking.
Yeah, and while you're thinking about all this, here's something else to chew on. Besides the money part, how do your own hopes and dreams fit into the story society's always trying to tell us? What can you do today to build a life that's both secure and fulfilling for your wallet and your soul, so to speak?
It's about finding that balance, right, where your head and your heart are on the same page, creating a life that feels real,
Yeah.
authentically you, no matter what path you choose. It's like your own personal happily ever after. You get to decide what that looks like.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep asking those tough questions, keep exploring, keep growing. Your own unique journey is out there waiting for you.
And that's a wrap on today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, everyone.